All right, Guru. So you made it to the section conclusion for the Network Security Group section of this course. I'm Chase, an Azure Training Architect here at A Cloud Guru, a Pluralsight company. And in this section conclusion, we're going to make it fun by wrapping up with a case study scenario that's going to help us review securing virtual network traffic using NSGs, which we learned about in this section. And we're going to use it to review monitoring NSG traffic. So let's get started with our Control-Alt-Suites organization that we're familiar with here. We're going to, again, start off by reviewing how we can secure VNet traffic using NSGs. And more specifically, we're going to use those network security groups to secure traffic for VNets on a per VNet basis. And again, they'll be associated with the subnet or network interfaces in the case of NSGs. And we'll also cover application security groups being used to provide extensibility to NSGs by logically grouping resources and acting as a tag in our security rules for those resources. And then we're going to review monitoring for NSG traffic using NSG flow logs to figure out what is going on and evaluate the effectiveness of our security rules. So without further ado, let's take a look at our existing infrastructure for this case study scenario. We have a hub VNet, and inside of that hub VNet, we have a hub subnet. And inside of that hub subnet, that is where we have our web front-end VM. This is presumably a web server VM serving up a web application. Now, our network security needs for this are going to be that we need to allow HTTP traffic to the front end. And we also need to plan for future web VMs that we may need to create when we're creating security rules. We also need to minimize security rule creation because of that. So when we're architecting security for this, we're going to want to create a network security group, and we'll put it at the subnet boundary for this use case. And we'll create a front-end application security group that will tag all of our web VMs that we create in the future with, so that we can create a security rule that is associated with this application security group and allow traffic into those resources that are tagged with that as part of our security rule. And that pretty much sums up everything that we have learned this far in securing VNet traffic using NSGs and providing extensibility with application security groups. Now let's move into talking about monitoring NSG traffic. So our existing infrastructure in this case is our hub VNet with a hub subnet inside of that VNet. And again, a web front-end VM inside of that hub subnet. Now we do, in this case, have the NSG at the subnet level already. Presumably, we've already got it set up with a application security group, and it's allowing HTTP traffic. And what we're focused on here is our logging needs for this traffic. We want to log the traffic for all VMs that are inside this hub subnet that may be associated with this network security group. So for our architecting logging here, we want to make sure we enable Network Watcher. And this is done by default when creating an NSG flow log. We also want to make sure that we register Microsoft.Insights on the subscription where we are performing this. Then we're going to create the NSG flow log and the storage account so that we can make sure that those flow logs find their way to our storage account, and they'll be set with whatever retention period we have set for archival. As we learned in our demo, when we're using V1 storage accounts, retention is not supported, so we need a V2 storage account for that case. And then once this is all enabled, all those flow logs will be sent from our NSG to our NSG flow logs configuration, which sends them to our storage account so that we can review them later. And this provides us monitoring for our NSG traffic. All right, Gurus, that summarizes everything that we've covered in this section. Thanks so much for joining me in this section. Congratulations on making it to the section conclusion, and I look forward to seeing you in the next section.